What's going on, everybody? It's Davey from the 80s, and you're now entering the Cinema Chop Shop, so park your ass right there. But while you're there, don't forget to hit the like, the share, the subscribe button. Also, you can check the link below. You see a Patreon account. If you click it, you can become a member. All you got to do is try to recommend movies and music and trailers we react to, so click the link. Now, with that being said, we're here today to review John Wick 4, Chapter 4, by the way. Now, this movie follows John Wick on his journey to take down the High Table. We saw in a previous movie that John Wick almost passed away, but by some miraculous miracle, the man has continued to keep living. And this movie has so many freaking cast members from all over the cinematic world. You got Donnie Yen, you got Hiroyuki Sanada, you have tons of other famous freaking people. Like, the list goes on. But the one thing that I liked about this movie off top is, I'm going to say, the cast did a really amazing job. The cast is super likable. Every character that pops up on the screen is enjoyable. Donnie Yen's character is dope, steals the show. Haruko Sanada's character, dope, steals the show. And it's I sat back and I really questioned myself, because after the last John Wick movie, which I believe is the one that had Mad Dog in it, I was kind of like, I was left lackluster. Like, it didn't live up to what I thought it would end up being. And I was kind of worried about this movie, like, damn, are they going to do the same thing? But nah, most of the most notable characters and the most notable names, especially in the action movie genre, most of those characters have a really good, a really good likable character. So kudos to them for doing that. There's only one character in this movie that I'm not really fond of, but we'll get into that later. Moving on, another pro, the cinematography. The cinematography in this movie was amazing. You had these overhead pan shots. There's so many chase scenes. Like, the way that they decided to film this movie was fantastic. The color schemes, the color palettes, it's just really vivid. The pops. I would definitely recommend going to see this on like a really big screen with a good projector, nice crispy sound system. I would definitely go watch this in IMAX. IMAX, it was booming. Every hit, boom, shook the theater, and it just was a really good experience. It's definitely a movie that you want to see in IMAX. But I'm telling you, the movie goes from like an old school Western movie to like a feudal Japanese movie. It's just the I can't even praise it enough with the choice that they made in the way that they filmed this movie. It's really good. It's super good, like really good. On top of that, the action sequences, phenomenal, right? Top notch. The team that did the stunts behind this movie, fantastic job. Fight choreography, fantastic. I mean, really, like, it's a John Wick movie, and I sit back and I always think, what are they going to do next, right? It's really good, though, to watch a movie and you see actual stunts being performed. You see people in actual stunt suits doing actual stunts versus like having like a CGI prop guy or some a CGI scene where the person doesn't even get hurt. It's just some 3D animatronic thing, a 3D composed thing. It's not even a real person. I want to see a real person. I know this sounds mean, but I want to see a real person set on fire. I want to see a real person fall down some stairs. I want to see a real person get hit in the head, etc., etc. I want those scenes to be real. I hate when I'm watching a movie, and it's especially for action movies, and you have a freaking CGI sequence, and it's just like, why do that when you have the actual character? You have people that are stunt people that get paid to do this, and I love to do this type of shit. So I don't know, like, the fact that they went back to the roots with it, I loved it. The driving, the chase scenes, everything, anything that was done with an actual physical body, amazing. Hats off to them. A+ for that. Now, what else we got? I think that this was a good way to I just think this was a good horror movie, right? I kept telling myself, how are they going to continue to doing this? How are they going to keep this going? And I really felt like this is a nice way to kind of like to finally move on from the John Wick story. We've all heard that they're moving on to another story. That is going to be a spin-off film. And I think that this was the perfect movie to do it. I think this is a good way to say farewell, at least for now, right? I think this is a good like send-off for now. And because, again, I sat back and I thought to myself, and this was also one of the cons of the movie. There's not much more story you can tell. We can't keep milking this series over and over and over again. And then it's going to lose its essence. It's going to lose what made it really fun. And I just didn't want it to become cheap. I didn't want it to become gimmicky. And I feel like the studio understood that and they did the right thing. And you guys will understand more when you actually watch this movie. But I feel like this is a good way to segue into the next story in the John Wick franchise, right? And the good thing about it is, even watching this movie, you see a trailer for this movie about some freaking guy that's like a Dutch miner for gold, and it just turns south, and it's by the same team that does this movie, and it looks brutal. And I'm all in for it. I like this style of movie. Don't take yourself too serious. Go have fun with it. Blow some shit up. Blow some people up. Kill some people. Cut some heads off. Throw a knife at them. Do what you got to do, right? So this team knows what they're doing, and I hats off to them for doing that. So moving on, the big old cons. Now, although my cons list is very long, it's longer than my pros list. You got to understand that the pros are like very big pros, right? But my cons are, one, Keanu Reeves is as good as John Wick, right? But he could come off as very dry. He could come off as very emotionless, and I know that's kind of like what Wick's character is supposed to be. But sometimes it just seems so cheap. You get what I'm saying? Like I sometimes his character just talks and I'm just like, yo, just shut the fuck up. Just shut up, do some cool shit. Let's keep it going. Like, I'm glad that they gave him minimum talking in this movie, in all the movies per se. But I just don't think Keanu Reeves is a good actor like that. He's really not a good actor like that. And we can sit back and say, well, that's what his character is supposed to be. I've seen 5 different Keanu Reeves movies, and he's playing the exact same person. So let's not bullshit ourselves here. Let's not act like this is him using his range. This is definitely Keanu Reeves being Keanu Reeves. So come on, let's keep it a buck here. Let's not lie to ourselves here. Let's not lie to ourselves here. It's whatever, right? All right, so that, and then on top of that, I love the fact that Keanu Reeves is doing his own thing. He's doing his own stunts. He's doing his own fight sequences. Hats off to him. But sometimes in this movie, I felt like maybe he should have waited and got some fresh legs. I feel like it's possible that he might have been doing it over and over again, and then maybe that's why it came off as so like slow. But sometimes it comes off as like his moves, like he'll get somebody down or something, and it comes off as really unbelievable because it's so slow and it feels like he's counting as he's doing it. Like, you know what I'm saying? When people don't know how to dance and they have to go 1, 2, 3, spin, 1, 2, 3, spin, 1, 2, 3, spin. That's what it feels like he's doing in this movie. It feels like he's counting as he's doing the steps. It's like shit, roll, right? And it's like, and then at first I'm like, okay, maybe it's just like John Wick's tired, right? Maybe he's just tired. But then the next scene will be super flawless, bam, lightning quick, flawless. And I'm just like, yo, what the why didn't you just do that like 5 minutes ago? You know? So I think that maybe they should have rewatched the tape, maybe had them retake some scenes. I understand fight scenes are kind of like, it's hard because it already has a lot of takes, but come on, you got to just, do the right thing. Oh, also a pro, completely forgot. One of the pros was that I was afraid that Keanu Reeves was going to be like fighting everybody, and they found a way to incorporate other characters to fight each other, and I really enjoyed that, and I thought that was a really cool way to progress the story, and then also not to get us too tired of John Wick's character. That's what I was worried about. I was worried about John Wick fatigue, like we're just going to get tired of his character. But they did something in such a way where it's like you had other characters interacting, other characters fighting, and that made it a lot more enjoyable, in my opinion. But moving on. All right, so another thing that I didn't like about the movie, another con, is I have to give Bill Skarsgård the fucking finger, bro. I gotta give him the finger. That trash ass British, French, Australian, Dutch, what the fuck? What kind of accent was that? I sat back and asked myself like 20 million times. If that was supposed to be his French accent, that was the fucking most terrible accent I've ever heard in my life. That shit was trash. All right. I don't know why he was not believable as a menacing main character. He was not believable as a freaking an antagonist. He's not believable at all. And it's like the whole movie, you're just like, okay, you need to prove to me that you're this big badass character that warrants all of this fear. And he does absolutely nothing to make you believe that he warrants all that fear. I just didn't buy it. I didn't like his character. I didn't like his accent. I didn't like his dialogue. I just didn't like him as a character. Like, see, I'm so mad that I'm knocking shit over. I didn't like his character. It's as simple as that. Bill Skarsgård was the fucking epitome of trash in this movie. He was horrible. I hated his character in this movie. He was whack. You should have picked somebody else. If you wanted a Frenchman, could have got that Frenchman from Jackie Chan. Who am I? That dude that kicks really fast. Could have got him. I would have been all for it, right? You don't even got to say much. You just all about business. You be like, shut the fuck up. I'm about to kick you in your ass, literally, because I'm a kicker, you know? Bill Skarsgård, hold this L, homie. You're a shitty ass antagonist, dude. You sucked. The runtime of the movie also became a little bit tedious after a while. Because what it does is it exposes the movie for not having much of a story. And this is what I was worried about with the franchise. It's going on so long, it's like you don't really have much story left to tell. You can't go too far with this. You can't go that way. You can't go that way. We're already meeting the end of this arc, and it's like you have to just pull the plug, because if you keep this going, then we're gonna have the Fast and the Furious on our hands, and nobody wants another Fast and the Furious. So don't milk it for too long. Just do the right thing. Do the right thing, homie. Just pull the plug when it needs to, right? This movie was kind of long, and it exposed it for having a very basic, simplistic story, which is kind of like what John Wick is based on. But at the same time, it does have to carry you throughout the movie, and the story has to compel you enough to keep going with it. You have to be invested in the story, and I really felt like this story was not investment worthy. It really felt like it was like, okay, just let's go on the skip and let's go to the next fight scene. This is definitely a movie where you can possibly skip the whole fucking movie, like skip throughout the movie and just go straight to the fight scenes, because I mean that's the bread and butter. That's what we all here for, And since Bill Skarsgård is a whack ass character, then that means that the ending was kind of whack, because the ending of the movie has to have the grand finale between the big bad and the big good, right? And I mean, you already have a whack bad character, and even if I don't like you, I mean, it doesn't mean that it's going to take away from the fact that you're a bad guy. You get what I'm saying? So yeah, that ending was a little bit lackluster, to say the least. Also the ending was kind of pretty predictable, right? We kind of saw where it was going. My wife was actually able to like call it exactly. I kind of had an idea of where it was going, but I couldn't really like pinpoint it exactly like she did. But she caught it, and yeah, ending's a little bit predictable. It's nothing that's gonna make you like jump out of your seat and be like super happy or anything like that. I also, another con was I wasn't really digging the soundtrack. The soundtrack had a lot of like techno EDM dubstep sounding music. It made me feel like I was at Universal Studios Halloween Horror Nights walking through the mazes. And I mean, I don't know, you don't need to always go to that like, that dubsteppy techno, like you don't need to always go through that when it's like a fight movie. Like you don't have to always resort to that. There's always other options. But I will say there is a French rendition of Paint It Black that I absolutely enjoyed in this movie. And I think I've actually heard that version before. But kudos to them for picking at least one good song. Also, I mean, it was very limited, but there is some CGI in the movie. Very limited, but it is very noticeable when you catch it. But again, it's not something to the point where it's gonna end the movie. Because it's like CGI mix, but at the same time, it being there kind of was like, like it just CGI takes me out of the scene. I can't say that for you because I don't know how you are, but for me, CGI takes me out of the scene. So here in the cinema chop shop, we grade movies in three ways. Count them three ways: either get bodied and sent to the bowels of hell. And I tell your movies basura, homie, or I spare your movie to tell everybody to go watch it. Stop what you're doing, go to the presses, sing it to the church tops how dope this movie is. or I give you a big fat meh. Tell your movies más o menos mediocre, mid-range, mid. I'm going to have to spare this movie.
He ain't earned the death. He ain't earned the death at my hands. God's only man, spared by the butcher.
Yeah, you heard it, folks. I'm sparing this movie. This movie, for an action movie, it was fantastic. I have to take my hats off to John Wick for what it's done to the action franchise, how it's brought it back to the light, how it's puffed a breath of air into it, gave it a second chance, how it's introduced Western audiences to a whole lot of different, unique action stars from around the world. And I can honestly say that this movie has springboarded a lot of these action heroes into doing other things, you know? These characters end up springboarding into Disney movies, for Christ's sake. So, I mean, kudos to John Wick, the franchise, for doing this. I'm glad that it's continuing, you know, and I'm going to check out that spinoff. I'm also going to check out that other movie that these producers and directors and all that stuff are working on. It looks very brutal. I don't know the name of it, but it's something weird like Tutu or Tutsu or Tusi or something. Some weird ass name, but I'm going to check it out. But anyway, yes. If you guys are going to go see John Wick, I highly recommend that you go watch this on the biggest, baddest screen you can find. This is an action movie. It deserves to be seen in all of its glory on a really good screen with a really good sound system and with a really good audience. You know, it's really cool when you're watching people react to it. Oh, and there's a whole lot of those moments in this movie. But yeah, that's my review. Let me know if you agree or disagree, whatever the case may be. Drop it in the comment section down below. And you are now exiting the Cinema Chop Shop. Hope you guys have a magnificent day, and adios, homies.